of Laudato Si, a series produced by REPAM. The reason we are doing it is because Pope Francis has invited REPAM to help coordinate a year-long process of reflection for a special synod that will be held in Rome in October 2019. Our own Bishop Francis Alain has been called to this synod, and so he would like our Catholic Church throughout Guyana to be fully engaged in discussions and reflections on the important implications for all Guyanese of the issues Pope Francis has raised in Laudato Si.
Hello there, and welcome to this program of Catholic Broadcast. My name is Joshua Van Slegman.
And I am Candace Burnett.
And we're joined with Regional Superior of the Jesuits in Guyana, Father Paul Martin, and we are trying to have a conversation on, like Candace mentioned in the introduction, on Laudato Si, more so the upcoming synod. Father Paul, welcome. It's our privilege to have you.
Nice to be here, thank you very much.
So, you would have heard in the radio series about Laudato Si, and Candace will now walk Father Paul through some questions as to how we can better care for our common home.
Yeah, so Father Paul, this Laudato Si is also produced by REPAM. Could you tell us a bit more on REPAM and its, what is it about and the focus?
Okay, so REPAM stands for the Pan-Amazon Ecclesial Network. The initials are in Spanish, so that's why it comes out as REPAM. But it's a movement. It's a movement to create a network, to bring together the different churches that form the Pan-Amazon region. And there are 9 countries that cover this Pan-Amazon region. We think of the Amazon rainforest, principally we think of it as something in Brazil, but in fact it covers 9 countries, and the 3 countries of the 3 Guyanas are 3 of those 9 countries that have part of the Amazon forest in them. So REPAM trying to bring together people from those 9 countries because we share common concerns and common issues, and the understanding that as we come together, as we reflect together, then we are able to do far more in response when we are united together. The issues can be overwhelming, and to try and cope with them on our own in Guyana, how we want to respond to these massive issues, very challenging. But we feel that support by being linked into a much wider network, and the energy that comes from recognising that many people in different contexts are sharing the same issues and trying to respond to these same issues.
Yeah, so Father Paul, REPAM, we have all these meetings, you know, they have been meeting before all the time. Where is it right now? What is REPAM doing at the moment?
Right, so as we were hearing in the introduction, Pope Francis is calling all the bishops of the Amazon to Rome in October next year for a synod. A synod is this high-level meeting of the Catholic Church that is able to take decisions. REPAM have been asked by Pope Francis to coordinate a process of preparation for that synod. So it is REPAM who are facilitating 45 what they call pre-synodal assemblies throughout the 9 countries of the Amazon to bring together all the dioceses of the Amazon for reflection on a document that has been prepared. And we are going to have in Guyana on the 27th of November in Lethem our own pre-synodal assembly coordinated by REPAM. So at the moment the church here in Guyana, we're in this process of preparation for that gathering in Lethem in November.
Okay.
So basically, we all gathering in Lethem on the 27th of November, as you mentioned. Is there any preparation before we all go to Lethem? I know on the 22nd of September there is a gathering of parishes from the coast. How is that? What is the process of getting there?
Okay, so obviously we all can't go to Lethem. There has to be a representative group that will go. How can those who go to Lethem be able to speak not just in their own name, not just to share their own ideas, but to go in a way as delegates and be able to speak in the voice of those who have sent them. So, what we'd like is there will be 20 people from the coast of Guyana going as delegates for this meeting. There will be 10 people coming from the northwest, another 10 people coming from Moruca and Essequibo, and then there will be similar numbers coming from Region 8 and Region 9 itself to Lethen. So we're looking to about 100 people coming to Lethen. So how can those 100 people be representative of all that is happening in the church throughout Guyana? So we're saying for the coastal communities, and we can think of our church as divided up into 10 clusters along the coast. So if you start up in Berbice, and then you come to New Amsterdam, and then you come along to the east coast, and then you're into North Georgetown and Central Georgetown and South Georgetown, and then you have the East Bank, and then you have the West Bank, and then you have Linden and you have Bartica. Those clusters, now each of those clusters need to be having gatherings and meetings and reflections, and to be identifying people who are going to come to a coastal gathering on the 22nd of September, 22nd and 23rd of September at St. Paul's Pastoral Centre. Gathering on the coast, this will be a time in which as wide a representation as possible of the Catholics on the coast can begin to reflect on the issues that are being raised in the preparatory document for the Synod on the Amazon, and out of that meeting then 20 people go in the name of the coastal communities to the gathering in Matin.
Father Paul, as we would have heard in the audio of the first episode, we have this mentality of getting things, the new things from the worldly things, and we also have a throwaway culture. You know, we just get things just to get them. We're not thinking of others, you know. We have a lot of poor people, we're not thinking of them also. We're just throwing away everything we get. Is there a way we can, I reach out to the young people, is there a way we can, Laudato Si, can reach out to young people and give them that message about the earth, you know, the dangers that we are in right now, and how can we do that?
I think the really powerful message of Laudato Si is the interconnection between all the various different elements. So, young people are concerned about the environment. We appreciate nature. We see beautiful sunsets. We feel connected with nature. Yes, but then also we get caught up with technology and cell phones, and as you say, in this consumer mentality, we need to have the latest version, latest fashion. So
Yes.
what we wore last year, we can't wear that. You know, that's
no.
out of date. Throw that away and get the next thing. So what Pope Francis is doing is to call people's attention to the interconnection. If we're going to care for our environment, we can't get caught up in this throwaway culture. The world only has a limited amount of resources, and if we're just taking something and throwing it away and getting another one, well, the world can't sustain that culture, that model. So there needs to be a change. There needs to be, beautifully in that, the radio program, looking at, well, people used to repair their shoes, people used to hand on clothes to another generation. You'd wear things that your mother had given you because they're still usable. And that mentality that it's not, we don't need the latest and the newest, but we want to keep and we want to repair and we want to pass on. It's a change of mentality, and it's finding again a more healthy relationship with the created world, the better use of the resources of the world so that we can live sustainably. And I think that your question was about the younger generation, the next generation. And I think it's important to see this idea of thinking in terms of a generation. I belong to the generation of the 1960s, and in one sense, well, we are the generation who have created this throwaway culture, this mentality. And we didn't think at the time, everybody was caught up with the excitement of
think of the consequences.
You don't think of the consequences, and everybody, this is what we're doing. Now people are waking up to how unsustainable that was, and how damaging that has been. The next generation, people in their late teens, early 20s, who are beginning their adult life, well, they've got to say, do we carry along the same road, or do we look for a better way? And that's, I think Pope Francis is inviting particularly that younger generation to say, well, you have to find a better way. You have to think what we've received is something broken, but it's in our power to fix it. And if your generation don't fix it, well, your children, it will be too late. It will be too broken. It won't be possible to repair. One of the strong messages, I think, of the radio program is, well, there's still time. There is still time, but it's a big responsibility for your generation. And I think now is this moment, crucial moment, if we can awaken within your generation that desire to do something better. And my generation, well, we have to, in one way, acknowledge the harm that our mentality has done, and be humble enough to see your generation coming up with new ideas and better ways, and for us to be open to learn from you.
Well, I can tell you for a fact the environment the environment is not something we are happy to talk about, or we just don't know what to see. And I'm very happy that we were able to have a input from Father Paul, and we encourage you, in your own small groups, to just think about the consequences of the environment if we do not take care of it. And I think the synod that the head of the Catholic Church has decided to have, it's something that it's much needed. We need that in order to see how we can improve the little that we have remaining. How can we tackle them? How can we help them to remain? And first of all, what we do need to do, we have a conversation with Father Paul before we come to doing this interview, and one of the things he mentioned is that first of all we need to look at the damages that were caused, and how can we discern that, and how can we put a stop to the damages and work along to what we have. A very powerful message came from that radio series there. You and all living things are born from me, and when all is done, you will return from me. Father Paul, it is true, but we do not accept it. Do you know why is it that we are afraid to accept the truth that we will all die someday?
Well, that's human nature. It's what distinguishes us in one way from the animals. Animals don't know that they are going to die. Animals live their life and it comes to an end. Human beings, in one way, it is our privilege to be able to be conscious that we have a future, but also that future eventually is going to reach the point in which we're going to die. That's awakening to the fact that we're going to die changes then how we understand ourselves, and it's a gift that makes us human. But at the same time, it's a reality that we want to ignore. And I think we're talking about generations. As you get older, well, the fact that your time is limited becomes much more an issue. When you're young, you think you're going to live forever. In one way, you're not conscious, and you don't want to be conscious of the limited time that you have. And I think it's always helpful to put things in that context. As a Jesuit, St. Ignatius is our inspiration. And one of the things he was saying, when people are trying to make a decision, well, what decision would you like to have made when you're there on your deathbed? If you're looking back on your life, what are you going to wish that you had done? And I think that puts things really in their context when we say, do I wish that I had in fact got that latest smartphone? Or do I wish that I had gone and spent more time with my parents? And that's putting things in that context, I think, is so important. And it's part of what makes us human beings.
Well, I must say thank you very much, but I encourage parishes, and I think Father Paul, if you can send a message out to them before they all gather for this discussion on the coast of St. Paul's, to have conversation within their parish, because we all know everybody cannot attend the meeting at St. Paul's, and everybody cannot, of course, help to let them. But to have conversations at parish level, how would you advise them to go about doing that?
Well, it's to know that Bishop Francis has organised a process. So yes, there's going to be this meeting in St. Paul's on the 22nd of September, but Bishop Francis is asking that every cluster has a gathering to select representatives to go to St. Paul's, and every community within the cluster has its own community meeting to prepare for the meeting in the cluster. So just to encourage people who are participating in a parish community, in a Catholic community, well, be attentive to when is that meeting going to take place, and when are you going to have your cluster meeting, and to know that these are important issues, and your opinion and your voice matters. I think that's the Pope Francis wants this process, because he's saying we need to hear from the people. We can't make decisions there in Rome if it's those who live the reality who can share their fears but also share their hopes. And for us in Guyana, let's collect that sense of possibility, and let's see where we all go.
So thank you very much, Father Paul, for accepting the invitation to have this interview with us. Just to let you know, this is not the end of the road. We'll continue to have consultations with people like Father Paul. This is just our first start, and we will continue. And we do wish Bishop Francis all the best in his preparation as he prepares to head to Rome, God willing, 2019, to discuss the Synod on the Amazon. Our conversation today was with Regional Superior of the Jesuits in Guyana, Father Paul Matin, and alongside me was Candace Burnett. Until next time, my name is Joshua Van Slegman, saying thank you.
Thank you.